but it's the way that product makes you feel, and that's where the true value come from.
Right.
If that watch can make you feel like you're a $1 million guy,
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Right. The value is in the self-image that it gives you.
Yes. Now I already know what you're thinking. Where can I get the merch? I'm glad you asked. You can find it at toostubborntofail.com. That's toostubborntofail.com. All right. Now let's get back to the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Too Stubborn to Fail podcast. I'm your host, Darren Perkins, and we got a special guest in the building today. We got the owner of 515 in the building today. How you feeling, Kevin Means?
I'm feeling good. I'm actually happy that you got me on your platform.
Yeah.
Excited about it. And, it's actually my first podcast that I ever done.
Oh, that's big.
So,
I got the first one.
Yeah, you got the first. You got the first one.
Yeah.
First time I'm ever doing this. So this is pretty cool. Yeah, especially after launching the company. So
Yeah. Cool. So, on here we get into entrepreneurship first, of course. So explain your first introduction into entrepreneurship.
I was selling waters outside in New Jersey. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
So my father always preached. I was a basketball player, but he always preached entrepreneurship.
Right.
So I was introduced at an early age to like books like A Man's Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Right.
So when I got exposed to all of these books, even though I didn't read them all
at
the time, but the information was valid. So even if I'm listening to it on audio or something like that, I'm still gathering that type of information. Well, my father, he gave me the idea. He was like, hey, man, if you want to make you some extra money, you need to go out here and, you could possibly sell some waters, right? I'm not going to lie, it was a failed experience.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, I got me and my friend, we get together. My father, he gave me it's like $6. He might have given me like $6.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So we get a case of water. Right. We get the foam, cooler.
Yeah.
And a bag of ice. So we go out here. It's the freeway in New Jersey. Break the bag of ice. We try to pour it all in the cooler with the waters. Yeah. But it's a foam cooler, so it ripped. Yeah, exactly, right? So all right, I'm starting off early with setbacks.
Yeah.
So it rips. I'm like, man. So we trying to put like the waters inside the cooler. For whatever reason, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So we was selling waters. We only sold like 8 bottles because it wasn't cold enough.
Right.
So people was going up to us, we giving it to them. He's like, hey, man, it's not even cold. I'm like, hey, it is what it is. You going to support us or not?
Right.
But they did. My friend, he left out. He quit. He quit early. He was like, hey, I'm going to just head home, man. But I was out there by myself for a little while and doing that. So that was my first experience with entrepreneurship.
That's dope.
And even though it was a failure, it was just a learning experience.
Yeah.
Right? We don't lose. We just learn.
Right.
And that's how I look at it.
That's a blessing that you were able to get that at a young age, though. Because me personally, I think I didn't have anybody preaching anything about books. My family was traditional: go to school, get a job, retire. That platform. So I really didn't get introduced to entrepreneurship until I was an adult, right out of not high school, but out of college. So that's a blessing for you to be able to get that at an early age like that.
No, you're right, and it's normal for that, right?
Yeah.
So like, if it wasn't from my father, I probably would have been exposed to it like way later on in life, and I probably wouldn't be where I am right now today.
Right.
Because my mom, my mom's side of the family, all of them was get a job, go to the military, go to college, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I ended up going to college. Is because that was drilled. I'm like, you need to go to college. You need to go to college. Plus, I wanted to play basketball.
Right.
And that was my way. You growing up, you always tell your mom, I'm gonna buy you that big house. I'm gonna get you that big house. I'm gonna get you whatever you want. Money's not gonna be an option. And I thought that was gonna be my way of doing it.
Right.
And when I realized that wasn't going to come to fruition, I just thought to myself, like, man, like, how am I do it? And I knew entrepreneurship was the key. And I remember being in college at one point in time, and I was sleeping in my dorm, where I had my own room, and I was sitting there, and I was watching World Star Hip Hop. I'm not sure. You remember World Star Hip Hop? Yeah. So I was watching World Star Hip Hop, and I seen an interview with Mark Whitten. And he was like, hey, you can get into real estate with no money now, no cash, all of that type of stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is my ticket.
Right, that's the move.
It's the move. Real estate is the move. I'm definitely doing it. So he's like, all you got to do is get my book and read it. I was like, all right, say less. So I get on the internet. I search for his book. His book was $300. It killed my dream right then and there. I was like, I don't have $300. I'm borrowing noodles from my from my guys across the hall. So I know I don't have $300. So it killed it. But later on, a couple years later, it's funny how things come back full circle. Jay Morrison, if you're familiar with him, I seen another interview on the Breakfast Club when he was talking about starting an academy. And I think young Jeezy invested about like $1 million or something in the academy. But I didn't have no money, but I had a credit card. I don't know why they give students credit cards with no way to pay them back. But I had a credit card. And he was like, hey, I'm running an academy. First course is wholesaling, right? My father, me and him had a conversation about it, and he helped me start the business as far as like get it registered and everything, get my EIN number. And I started Means Property. That was the first company that I actually owned.
That's dope.
And I was doing real estate wholesaling for a little while. Closed my first deal in college, which is pretty cool.
That's big.
Oh.
That is huge.
Listen, I could have did cartwheels down the street, man. I'm telling you, I didn't know what I was doing at all.
Right.
Didn't have any clue what I was doing. And I seen a sign, so I was walking back and forth. So my ex-girlfriend, she had a car. Right. I didn't have a car. So we broke up. So you got ego. So you're like, I don't want to talk to you no more. You can't give me no ride. I'm going to walk to school.
Right.
And that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was walking to school, and I seen a sign on for sale by owner. Call this place. Call them. And the guy was like, I need $16,000 for this house. And I was like, okay. I don't know what I'm doing at all. I'm just learning from whatever I'm getting from Jay Morrison. Right. And I was like, okay, sure. He gives you $16,000. I sent them over a contract. I let them know that I was going to find an end buyer for the property. Well, I'm calling all of these buyers. These buyers are coming out to the property to come view it. And somebody straight up asked me, you don't know what you're doing, do you? All right. And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, this house isn't valued at $16,000. Yeah. Probably even if it was fixed up. Right. So I was like, man, he's like, the most I'll probably do is give you $6 for it. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and talk to the actual owner of the property, see what I can do. Anyway, make the long story short, called the guy, let him know what was going on. He said he was already paying taxes on it. It was just costing him money. Right. So he was like, hey, if it's $6,000, it's $6,000. That's fine. I ended up wholesaling it to, it was actually a young black lady. She just got out of a divorce. And she said she got $10,000 in the settlement, wanted to get a house. She actually bought it for $8,000.
It's crazy how that aligned like that for you.
Man, I was so ecstatic. Being in college, got $2,000, and I was like, okay, it's over. Yeah. And that was my first and only. It's a grind. It's a grind. It is. It's a grind, but I appreciate that.
That's dope. So, all right. So fast forward. What was the inspiration behind 515?
Well, I've always been in love with watches. So my first gift that I ever got, I can say ever got, but my first college gift going to college after I graduated high school was a watch. It was a Fossil watch. And I loved it. I wore it. If you see old pictures of me, man, I wore it everywhere. If I got on basketball shorts, I wore my Fossil watch, right? It's a stainless steel. If I'm in a suit, I got a Fossil watch on. Everywhere I went. So I always loved it. Then I just started to collect them, right? Just build my collection of watches. I feel naked whenever you don't have something on your wrist, right? For whatever reason. So I was like, man, I always wanted to own a watch company, but because I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I don't know how. It's like it's that question, like, man, how do you do it? Like, how do you find a manufacturer? How do you design the watches? How do you do all of this type stuff? And it's crazy how, like, as soon as you start making progress towards something, things start to align and it just get out the way, right? Things just start to align for you. And there's a guy, his name is Chris Johnson. You probably follow him online. He does a lot of investing and stuff. Yeah, I know. And he did a course on how to start e-commerce businesses and how to start a watch company. Yeah. A watch company. Yeah. So I bought it. Yeah. I'm a guy that invests in this stuff. I spent $2,000 for a couple of phone calls one time just to get information. Right. So I bought the course, went through everything, and that week I did everything. Right. So started the company. Yeah. Did everything. Got the EIN number, all of that type of stuff. Found a manufacturer. Looked through all the designs, what I wanted to do. Got my logo. I did everything that week. Man. Now, the funny thing about it is I didn't know what to name the company.
Right.
So I'm thinking of like real corny names like Imperial Watches. That's corny. That's corny. So you're thinking of all like these corny names, and you're like, man. And then I'm Googling. I'm like, oh, somebody used that already. So my lady, she was on a balcony. I remember like it was yesterday. It was on a balcony, and she's like, how come you just don't say something that that's really meaningful to you, right? Like something that is going to mean something to the business, to why you're actually doing it. And she was like, how about something with like my daughter? I just had a daughter. At the time, it was May 15th, 2020. She said, how about you name it, after her birthday, like 515 or something like that, or 515. And I was like, I like 515. I like that a lot. And we had a conversation around that, and then that's when we decided on 51Five Watches.
That's dope.
That's how that came to fruition. Yep. And then I found a logo. Went on 48-hour logo. I had a bunch of different like submissions. It was like 200 and something submissions. And I actually had another logo before the one I have now. And after looking at it over some time, I was just like, man, I just can't see that on a watch. Right. It's a nice logo. I just can't see it on a watch. So I went and bought another one that was a little bit more simple and cleaner. And that's how I came.
That's dope. That's dope. So with you being a watch guy, personally, what makes a watch a good watch for you?
Me, the look of it. like I'm a type of guy. Somebody asked me the time, I'm gonna look at my phone.
Right. Me too.
Yeah, I can have a watch on my hand. I'm gonna look at my phone and figure out the time. Right. But it's just the look of it. Like right now, we have like stainless steel watches. So that's our unisex watches. Men and women can wear them. You probably just have to get the links adjusted. As well as like leather bands. I like those a lot, like a brown leather band. But really just to look at a watch, right? If it looks clean, does it go what you go with? Does it make you feel good? Right? Because I was having this conversation with a good buddy of mine, and we was talking about like what makes product valuable, right? Like why can Richard Mille sell a watch for $500,000? Like I don't understand it. Some of them $1 million.
Yeah.
So we was having this conversation. I know it's not the raw materials because if you broke down the raw materials, it wouldn't even probably be valued at $1,000. Right. But it's the way that product makes you feel, and that's where the true value comes from. Right. If that watch can make you feel like you're $1 million guy,
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Right. The value is in the self-image that it gives you.
It makes a whole lot of sense.
And that's where I say we'll make a good watch.
Okay. So. This next question, basically, I want you to describe the importance of getting around like-minded individuals, because this interview doesn't even happen if we aren't in the same Facebook group.
You're right. No. Okay. No. This is an easy question for me, right? Because my whole entire life changed by getting in front of like-minded individuals. So, like I told you, like my history. I came from a sports background. Right. So everybody around me, they played sports, they were going in that direction, right? Grades, any other type of success, nobody cared about. It was just how good were you at this particular sport. And I took that with me to the point where I ended up getting kicked out of college. So I went to 4 different schools, right? My first school went to Allen University. I just left there. It was horrible. I just hated it. Shout out to Allen. Shout out to Allen University, right? Me personally, it wasn't for me, and it probably wasn't even a school. It probably was me, because I just felt like I probably wasn't ready for college at that time. My second school was Limestone, and at that school, I loved all the people there. I felt like I could have really did well there, but I wasn't focused on school. I was like, yo, I just have to get on this team. Like I have to figure out a way to play basketball. Well, I wasn't focused on my grades at all, and the people that I was around wasn't focused on their grades. Right. So you started to do the same things that they do, and I'll sleep through all my classes, right? And then I'll play basketball at night, all night. Well, they sent me a letter home. It was in December, right? When you get that little break. It's like, don't come back here, basically, right? I'm just paraphrasing, but you can't come back to the school. So when I switched up and I went to Clinton College out in Rock Hill, South Carolina, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do better. And I started to surround myself with different people, right? People that were sitting in the front of the class. I sat in the front of the class. So I changed everything about my perception of I used to always go in the back of the class, sit in the back, put my hood on, go to sleep sometimes if I wanted to. Now I'm sitting in the front of the class. It's a different environment in the front. right? It's different people in the front. So that's who I'm associating with now. And I started to get the best grades I ever got in my life. Went to a Morris college, and then I started to join organizations, right? Okay. And when I started to join organizations, you get around another group of people, right? People that are looking to be leaders, looking to be successful outside of college. Right. And it propelled me to a whole nother level. Even at an internship, I met a guy's name is Rick. And I'm not gonna lie, man, on his resume, and I've seen his resume, I think he's like younger than me. He like Barack Obama. Yeah. It was phenomenal. So I thought I was under the impression it was like, if you getting good grades, you're good. Like I'm good. I was under that impression. And when I seen his resume, he was like, he went to South Carolina State. Mr. South Carolina State, all kind of Mr. all this kind of stuff, right? All the accolades, internships, and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, man, I got some work to do. Yeah. So when I go back to school after the internship, I joined every organization I possibly can join, and I even ended up getting way out of my comfort zone. I'm naturally an introvert, and becoming senior class president at the school. And none of that happened if I wasn't around these group of people, this group of people. So success come from that. Success come from that. If you get around a group of millionaires, you are. If it's 5 millionaires and you get around a group of them, you're gonna be the 6. It just is what it is. You are. Yes. You're gonna be inspired. The conversation that you have is gonna be different. Your way of thinking is gonna be different because the conversation is different.
Right. That's true. So knowing everything that you know about how important it is to have that type of environment, especially at an early age, what is your plan for introducing it to your daughter?
Oh, really? It's okay. It's perfect. So my group of friends now, right? Everybody's successful in their own right, whether it's in the corporate environment, corporate America, or in entrepreneurship, right? Well, I have a kid. We all have kids around the same age, right? So the same mindset that I'm instilling in my daughter, they're instilling in their kids, right? So that's who they're going to be around. That's her friends group. That's their circle, right? So they're going to experience, 5 years from now, all of their dads are going to be millionaires, right? They're going to be getting that type of mindset. Right. So that's how I introduce that circle to them. I wouldn't say it's necessarily public school or private school or anything like that. Right. It's really just who you associate with on a day-to-day basis.
It makes a whole lot of sense. I know. So basically, would you say it would be better to not only surround her with the right group of friends, but to have that example up front of daddy had a business my whole life. So a job doesn't even really make sense.
100%. Children do what they see, right? Like if you smoking cigarettes, you can't tell oh, you don't smoke, but I'm smoking, that type thing. Like kids do what they see. Yeah. And like my daughter, whatever she see her mom doing, whatever it is, it could be clipping her toenails, right? She'll grab the clip of the toenail, right? She's not even 2 yet. And she'll try to do it in her own way. So whether it's reading books or whatever, it's people and parents that try to teach their children, you need to be out here reading. You need to be doing this. And they never seen their parent pick up a book in their life. So it's like, why would I be doing that? That's boring to me. Right? You never told me. I don't see the value in it because you never showed me. Right. So that's why it's so important for myself to basically set that example for her. Right? I'm the leader in my household. So I have to set that example, and then they follow what I do. I lead.
We do have that responsibility, like you said, as the leader of the household, to make sure that we're portraying the right things, not only with our words, but our actions. Those speak a whole lot louder than anything we could ever say to our children.
Oh yeah. And then if they see certain things, right? If they see me going to job every single day and working or whatever, that's what they're gonna do, right? Unless they have access to someone else that they could look up to, that's doing something different, right? So like, for example, like you didn't have a father in your life too. I ain't gonna say you didn't have a father in your life, but he was an entrepreneur, right. And my pops was basically teaching me entrepreneur. So you have to, if he's not doing that, you have to find someone outside of that to kind of, who's doing that, who's living the lifestyle you want to live. One of my mentors, he said, we've been like living this life like the wrong way, right? A lot of times we look at it and we say like, what do I want to do to be successful? right? He's like, that's the wrong mindset to approach it with. You really need to look at it and say, how do I want to live?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then once you find out how you want to live, the type of lifestyle you want to have, then you engineer to a way where you say, okay, what vehicle is going to get me to the way that I want to live, right? Because you could be, if you're a teacher, you're not going to drive a Ferrari,
right?
9 times out of 10, right? So if you say I want to be a teacher, well, you're probably going to base yourself or cap yourself at what, $50,000 income a year. Yeah, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you're probably not going to have that much time,
right?
And that's how you look at it. So that's how I've been approaching my life since then.
That makes a whole lot of sense because I can't tell you what your happiness is. So you need to go on that journey and figure out what makes you happy and then do what it takes to get that. And then that's success.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Money might not ever be a determining factor in your life. You may not ever want to make $1 million, but you want something.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And that's what you need to figure out what that is.
Exactly. That's why you have to determine exactly like what we're saying. Like, how do you want to live? Because you may be capped out $20 an hour. You may be making $20 an hour, but you're okay, with just getting good weekends off, and that's okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong. People bash 9 to 5s all the time. It's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 if you're okay with living that lifestyle. Nothing wrong with it, and that's how I see it.
That's true. So, what would you say so far in your journey it has been the most rewarding thing about entrepreneurship?
I know this might sound crazy, but it's probably gonna be the setbacks.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like when you're getting ahead, like financially. I seen something. My lady showed me something not too long ago. It was like it's like your car is like your biggest hater type deal. Like everything's going well in your life, and then that check engine light come on. You like, oh my goodness. So I know every time I'm advancing in life and I'm going further, I'm getting ahead. Something is gonna happen. An obstacle is gonna come in my place, and I just have to figure out a way to overcome that obstacle. So every time I get one or whatever, I get excited about it because it just puts me in a position to say, okay, just figure out how to overcome this obstacle, whatever this setback may be. Right. And once I do that, it's like, all right, cool. Now I'm getting to the next step. It's almost like playing a game.
It was coming.
Exactly. I knew it was coming. I knew something is gonna come or whatever. I just have to figure out how to jump over that hurdle and continue to keep it pushing.
Yeah.
And I know that success is inevitable for me. As long as I stay consistent. And that's what I say. That's the greatest thing for me. It just makes me excited to see, like, when I get setbacks, I'm like, okay, this is how I did that. And then I know, looking back, if my daughter was to experience it, if she was to have any kind of, business for herself or whatever, I can tell her how I overcame certain obstacles, not by theory, but this is exactly what I did, by example. And I'm proud of that.
And you have to enjoy the process of whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yep.
Today is literally the epitome of that one piece of the conversation. Because as we spoke off camera, it was a lot of adversity to even get this interview going. But it was no way I was gonna cancel it.
Yeah.
So I just enjoyed the process, and I look forward to telling that story.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Like. I'm happy that we had it. I'm happy that you experienced that. Like, sometimes I'm having conversations, especially like when you're in college, and people, man, this happened and that happened, and I'm like, you need to smile that this is happening for you. Like, this is happening to you because you're overcoming it. It's just another story to tell. Whenever you get to where you're looking to get to, it's like, man, this happened, and I'm still here, right? So you're an excuse breaker for your family, friends, or whoever else you're setting an example for.
Right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back at the Too Stubborn to Fail podcast. I switched sides on you. Why you ain't go to the site yet? TooStubbornToFail.com. That's TooStubbornToFail.com. Go check it out. Welcome back to the Too Stubborn to Fail podcast. So, just to pick up where we left off, I know we mentioned the books earlier, but how important has that been to your personal growth and self-development in general?
It's been, outside of actual experiences, it's been the most important thing, right? Because it changes your mindset when you start to read certain books and you start to see things differently, right? Like, one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear, I believe it is.
Yeah, you put me on that one.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. That one is really good because it talks about how to get rid of bad habits, or old habits, and create new ones. And I think it changed my mindset as far as what I do day to day, right? Also, too, like time management and reading books and stuff like that. On that, it shows you how to organize your time and everything like that. Things that you don't know on your day to day basis. It just changes your mindset around that. Another thing I would say about books is it criticizes you without you actually getting criticism from another person. That's true. Right? So it can smack you in your face and you can't smack that book back. Right? As opposed to a person telling you, you need to get your stuff together. The book is telling you that in a way where it's like, okay, if you had this mindset, then you're dumb. Right? Basically, right? For lack of a better word, if you had this mindset, you're dumb. And you thinking to yourself, like, I guess I was dumb for a little while now. But it just allows you to change it at that point. So reading books, for whatever it is, you need to read that book for, right? So for me, it's books like Atomic Habits. It may be communication books for like public speakers and stuff like that. Whatever is going to take you to the next level, because you can't learn everything by experience.
No. Not everything.
Yeah, you can't learn everything by experience. You do have to seek other perspectives. And if you don't have access to that person, right, you may not have access to a John C. Maxwell, right? But you have access to a book that he wrote, right?
His thoughts.
Exactly, which is his thoughts, right? You may not have access to E.T. or whoever it may be, but you have access to information that they put out. And that's what it's about.
And it sounds like a lot of people just don't have somebody to hold them accountable. At the end of the day, it's like, it's easy for you. If nobody's holding you accountable, you can say whatever you want to on social media, in public. But if you go home and it's nobody there to push you, and, that accountability factor can be the determining factor in you being a success at times.
Yeah, and I think people need to start with why they're doing what they're doing in the first place. Right? And keep that in front of you. See, like a lot of times you might know, like, okay, I'm doing it for my daughter, I'm doing it for my children, right? But like, why are you really doing? Like, what's the core of it?
Right.
And just keep it in front of you at all times. So it could be a situation where you want to sit on the couch and be a couch potato and chill or whatever. But if you see that picture of your daughter or whoever it may be for you on the front of your phone or your logo, whatever it is, you can be like, all right, let me get up. Let me get up and let me do this, that, and the third. Like, because if you're looking for an accountability partner, you may not have one, and then at that point you're looking for an excuse, right? And if you're looking for an excuse, you're gonna find one. Just like if you're looking for a solution, you're gonna find one, and that's how I look at it.
That's dope. So once we already talked about a whole lot of gems on the show, but I always like to teach a little bit, give a little bit of game back to the audience as well. Could you give us some tips on networking and how you approach networking as far as being an entrepreneur?
I approach networking by trying to add value. Right? It's like adding value wherever I go. So if I see somebody on the street or whatever, or I'm at the gym, just having a conversation. Oh, what's going on, man? You working out, blah blah blah. We're in the gym. I see you. Whatever, anything regarding like weight to it. And typically, most people are nice, right? And I say, like, okay. Or if I'm in the sauna, we're having a conversation. We talk about stocks, crypto, whatever it is. I've had the best conversations in the sauna. Weird that may sound, but it's been the best conversation because I approach it. I'm adding value. I'm talking to them about stocks, crypto, whatever, and people want to talk. People want to tell you what they know. What they're excited about. And they start to, spill beans and give me free game that I didn't have. And it's like, okay, you know what, man, we should connect. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's just having confidence, having something to add, some type of value to add. And even if you need information, people are more times than not willing to give that.
Yes.
For free. They'll say, hey, man, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. I'll give you a perfect example. Nasser El Arabi, right? Shout out to my man, Nasser El Arabi, right? He's in real estate. And I was watching, I forgot the name of the podcast. But anywho, I was listening to a podcast, and he was talking about like real estate, and this is at the time where I was like, I really need to get into it. Like I'm out on my own, and I went. He lived in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? I just messaged him. I looked at him like a celebrity.
Right.
I messaged him. I was like, hey man, you know, I would really love to pick your brain on real estate. Would you have time? You know, I'll take you out to lunch. And he said yes.
Hey.
So I'm in the wintertime. It's wintertime. I drive with no heat in my car, right? All the way to Charlotte. Took him out to a Chinese restaurant. We eat, and he took me out to his properties. All his flicks and flips, was giving me all of this game information.
Off a message, really.
Off a message.
Yeah.
Off a message. It's nothing to go. People just need to lose the ego, or whatever ego they have, whatever shyness they have, and ask. Ask the network. Hey man, you seem like a real cool guy. Can I have your number, man? We should connect one time, right? It's not weird or anything like that.
Right.
Just have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and just to reiterate on what we already talked about, this interview doesn't happen without networking. So that's the importance of networking.
Exactly. You're right. This interview does not happen if, you know, I wouldn't have known you owned a company. Right. You wouldn't have known I owned a company. Any of that type of stuff if it wasn't for networking. Right. And I look at it like I just met a cool brother. And that's how I look at it. Every time, like I just met a cool brother who's doing well, and this is who I want to associate myself with. And that's what it is.
Man, you dropped so much gems in this episode. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit? You got any deals coming up? What's next for 515?
So I got a pop-up shop coming out. I'm going to be at the Gaffney Outlet next weekend after Black Friday. Okay. I'll be in a pop-up shop in Gaffney Outlets. Then I'm looking to do pop-up shops every weekend in December. Okay. Right. So I still work a corporate job. Right. You know, for the time being. But yeah, just add value there. I have some new product coming soon. I don't want to talk about it yet because I want to make sure that the product is what I need it to be. But we're looking at some new launches, some different product lines outside of just watches and bags that I have. And yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
That's dope. That's dope. So how can we find you?
Okay, so perfect. So you can go on Instagram. You can follow me personally, right? So my name is Kevin Means, KevinMeans_33. Or you can go on our business page and find us at 515_watches.
Okay. You know what? I almost got up out of here without asking you the most important question. Like, everybody that comes on here, I ask the same question. What was your too stubborn to fail moment? That moment that no matter, it was, you know, a lot of adversity. You didn't feel like it was going to happen, but however you made it happen, it came to fruition.
I'll tell the story of when, I guess you can even say I was homeless at this time because I didn't have a primary residence. Right? Well, after graduating college, I came to stay in Spartanburg, staying with my mom, and this is when I started the real estate company, which means properties. So I'm trying to do that, and I'm grinding real hard at that point. And I asked my mom, I was like, hey, you know, give me a few months or whatever. I know I ain't got no money coming in, but it's gonna happen. Trust me. Well, I didn't have that time, right? She ended up leaving, going to Maryland unexpectedly, and basically not the repo man, but the office came in and basically evicted us. So I'm out here on the street without knowing at all, right? And I'm giving you the short version of the story, right? And I'm out here in the street, people peeking, eyes out the window like, oh, this people getting evicted. Yeah. And I'm sitting there. I didn't have any job, any income, nothing like that at all. And I was just trying to figure it out. I had no money, $0. And that day, it was a Friday, right? ZF Transmissions called me that Friday and said, hey, man, we're looking for somebody. Can you start this Monday?
What?
Right? I said, sure. My younger sister, and this is so embarrassing at the time anyway, because, you know, your ego won't let you, like, Mom, you my little sister. Right. I had to stay with her for about a month and a half, maybe even 2 months, just to stack my money up. I didn't have a car. My father sent me $1,000 and said, hey, you know, get what you want cash for this. So I had a hoopty. That's the hoopty with no air, no heat. Right. That I was talking about a little while ago. And I got that. And I got my apartment in a couple of months. I was working as much overtime as I possibly could. And then after that, I started to get other jobs, other opportunities, and to a point where I was able to stack enough money to not only buy a house that I just bought a few months back, but start a company.
Congrats.
Which is thank you.
Congrats,
which is the watch company that I plan on growing.
Hey man, shout out to little sis.
Oh yeah, shout out to her.
Shout out to her. Clutch.
She came. she came through in the clutch. She came through in the clutch, and like I needed that. So I'm 6'2", and I'm sleeping on a love seat.
Yeah.
Right, for a couple of months. So only imagine how I do what that do to your back. But I did it, and it was a humbling moment. So that's why, like, when I see people that's struggling, I don't feel bad for them because this is a part of your story.
Right.
It made me who I am. That way, I know that if I was to fail, if I was to lose everything today, right now, I know for a fact I could get it back. You can't put me anywhere. You can't put me in a situation where I won't be successful.
Right.
Because I'll figure it out. And that just is what it is.
And like you said, it comes with experience. You've been to the lowest of low.
Yep.
So you already have the experience to know, hey, if it happens, I just figure it out.
Yeah, you figure it out. And that's and another thing, just another point I wanted to add to that is nobody's successful alone. Right? So when you look at it, you could say, man, I'm self-made. I came from the bottom. But no, I needed my little sister to help me and let me stay with her those couple of months. I needed that $1,000 from my father to get me a hoopty.
Right.
For me to ride in. That way I needed that push to get to where I am now. And I'm forever grateful to him.
Man, a support system like that, how can you lose?
Exactly.
How can you lose?
Nah, exactly.
Like
so, that's it just is what it is. But I would say that would be my too stubborn to fail moment.
Man, this has been a real dope interview, man. I got to get you back. I'm already ready for round two.
Yeah, me too, man.
But we're gonna wrap this one up. This has been another episode of the Too Stubborn to Fail podcast. I'm your host, Darren Perkins. We had Kevin Means in the building today, dropping nothing but gems. We're tuning out.